Get started.
The green?
Oh, have you got the,
It's yellow, yeah, there's green.
have you got the first video up, the intro video? The, what is it? Where we got these?
Yeah, but the camera's wrong. I'm looking at your microphone. It's not showing your faces.
Oh, okay, I can fix it. Why did it?
Introducing the highly demanded, most versatile photo video light in our line.
Okay. Yeah. Hey. Ooh, I'm still too hot. Hang on. And lock that up. Okay. Why don't you do your intro while I fix my mic?
All right, am I on the screen?
Yes.
Oh, hello and welcome to A Gypsy's Kiss. It's Friday and we're making some food. It's Friday Foodies. Today we're going to be making Posole, which is a New Mexico dish, especially prevalent around the holidays. So get ready for some delicious food.
Delicioso. I'm going to turn this just a little bit too. All right. So here's the thing. I'm actually going to start up my pot here. And we're going to go to manual, and we're going to set it for 15 minutes, which will be
I
fine.
didn't intro yet.
You mean the line intro?
You're still doing the...
Okay, go ahead and intro us. Do that line intro.
Come on, the computer.
Oh, wow, apparently we haven't got the audio issues worked out.
Yeah, might want your blank screen right now.
Okay.
Hello, we're back. Okay, so we're going to get started. First we're going to show you what we're doing today, and we'll get the pot started cooking, and then once it's started cooking, we're going to show you what Toby did yesterday. So it's a little bit backwards, but that's the best way to get the food cooked so that it's done by the end.
Okay, so we're just going to add these ingredients into the pot because we're going to try and see if we can get this finished by the time the show gets close to the end, all right? And I'll explain why in just a minute. So what we're going to start with is, and it's not going to make any sense to you right now, but trust me, it's going to get better as it goes on. We're going to start with the meat. We're going to put that on the bottom of the pot. Now, I'm not going to add any oil to this, and the reason is when I cooked the meat, there you go. When I cooked the meat yesterday, because it's pork, I left in all the fat after I had had the pork cut for me, so there's oils in the fat, and I do that for two reasons. One, it provides oils for the meal, and number two, it adds flavor. There's a lot of flavor in that pork fat. The second thing we're going to add is hominy, and this is a, let's see, what is it, a 108 ounce can of white hominy, but when you open it, the first thing that you're going to smell is
Corn.
well, there's something else in it. There's that stuff. Keep stirring this guy for me so he doesn't move. I don't mind it because we're going to change all of it in just a minute. It's got a smell, and so what I usually do with my hominy is, and I've got my colander right here in the sink, I usually pour out the hominy through the colander because I don't like this liquid. This liquid adds another flavor to it that I don't particularly like, and I kind of wash it off in some cold water. Now, there's going to be some people that say, oh no, you need to add that for flavor. I do not agree. I think it adds kind of a, I don't know, chemical flavor to it, and I think it comes from the fact that they wash the corn in it before they put it into the can. So I'm just going to rinse this off just a little bit through the colander and get it all. And like I said, when you put this in an InstantPot, you're not going to be cooking that long. You're going to be cooking for 10 to 15 minutes max because everything's already cooked when you put it in. The meat, the hominy is already cooked. Usually when you make it in a pan, they'll tell you just to simmer it. You ready for the hominy?
Yep.
I'll hold it. You will.
It's wet.
It's okay.
Very wet.
I'm still doing it. And this is a white hominy. If I can, I usually buy it in yellow because I think it has a little bit more flavor.
All of it?
Yep. So as of right now, we have no seasonings and no extra liquids in the pot. Okay?
I think I need a bigger spoon.
Legal
Something bigger.
or a spatula?
All right.
Okay.
What's next?
So we want to start adding the liquid. And the liquid I choose, and I recommend that you pick your own stock. Some people like chicken stock, some people like vegetable stock. I like beef stock because I'm a beef kind of guy. So just add your beef stock, and you want to get to the point where you've covered it. And sometimes it will take more than one container. I actually used part of this one yesterday. Just a little bit more.
That's going to be a lot of Posole.
And I'll freeze some because it freezes very nicely. Okay, so one of the things that people ask me is, how does your Posole? I think I'm going to add some more. A little bit more. Stop. I'd like it a little bit.
Yeah, because the corn will
Juicier.
probably
Aren't you at max?
absorb
Say again?
some.
Aren't you at max?
Not quite. That's why I was going to add it. Just below max.
That's it.
There we go.
So there's a line in the Instant Pot, a maximum fill line, and we're at the top of that, so we had to quit adding stuff,
Okay.
except the chilies.
Well, Shelley's going to add some to it. It's not too bad. So this is chopped green chili. I use mild, and I pour the whole container in. I drain the container because, again, it comes in a fluid that has its own set of flavors, and I don't like adding other flavors to my Posole. The other thing is I'm not good with hot things. They burn my tongue and ruin the meal for me. So I always go with mild. But a long time ago, I thought to myself, well, what about other people? Because there's some people that, like me, can't tolerate the hot foods. Now, everybody likes to make it hot. What I recommend is you start with mild, and then you put some additional green chili, hotter green chili, or what people like with their Posole is a red chili sauce, and make that hot, rather than, ruining it for the one person or one or two people that may not be able to tolerate the heat in your chili. So start with a mild, and then add the heat to the table, and that way they can make their own choices, okay? I always throw in a couple of dry red chili. This is Anaheim chili that's been dried. You can buy it in the store like this. This adds another kind of layer of flavor, and again, you'll see it in mild, medium, and hot. This one is what they call dulce, which is the same as mild. Dulce actually translates to sweet, but when they package it, they call it dulce. So I just stick those in there. They will get soft and kind of blend in. They won't come apart generally. Some people just like to add them to their particular bowl of Posole. I usually take it out before I serve it to the table. So then, I'm a big fan of garlic, so we're going to add 2 tablespoons of minced garlic, just because I love the flavor of garlic. And that is the only other seasoning that I'm going to add except for the following. And here it is. So people ask, why does your pozole taste so good? It is not because I used my aunt's recipe, although my aunt's recipe is outstanding. It's because a couple of years ago, actually it's been more than that, it's probably 8 years ago when I moved here, I invited some friends over, and they knew that my Aunt Lucy had a pozole recipe, and they asked if I could make them pozole for dinner. And I did, and then I started looking at the list of seasonings that was required, and I thought, God, there's got to be some options. I went to the store, and I went along the seasonings aisle to see if there was a jar, one of those small seasoning bottles or jars that said, I'm gonna show it to you this way so you can see it. Seasoning bottles or jars that said pozole seasoning, and there wasn't, but there was a rack. And the rack was on the end cap of the seasoning aisle, and it was a rack full of Desert Garden seasonings, as you can see. Which way am I going to do it?
You're fine.
Okay. Of Desert Garden seasonings. And they make seasonings for all kinds of dishes, from dip to pozole to green chili stew, and it's just an easy way to do it. I don't add any other seasonings. If people need a little bit more salt, I'll put that on the table and let them put the salt on it. So this is what it looks like out of the container. As you can see, it's not very much, right? What does it have in it? You can add.
The ingredients say salt, dehydrated onion, red chili, garlic, black pepper, cumin, green chili, oregano, and basil.
Yeah, you don't need anything else. This is plenty. So you're going to want to stir this in as well. And honestly, that's it. So it's those ingredients. Now, what you didn't see is what I had done with the meat yesterday. So what Shelley and I did yesterday is we made a short little video, Shelley behind the camera, and then I showed you what I did. I'm also going to introduce you again in the video to each of the ingredients so that you'll have it. What I'm going to try and do is put the top on this, see if we can get it hot enough so that you'll see what it looks like. But we're planning to have dinner at the end of all this. So we can go ahead and cover. Where's my top?
You're the top, you're the tower of Pisa.
So that's it in terms of seasonings. And it'll start up now, do its business. We'll close that. I'm going to hit the... And I set it for 15 minutes, which is all you'll need because the meat and the pozole are already cooked. The pozole comes cooked in the can. If you were just having it plain, which I don't recommend, there's no plain pozole is not very good. You have to add some seasonings to it. So you don't need to leave it in the InstantPot too long. It'll be 15 minutes and then it's going to steam in there for a little while. And that's actually good because the more it steams like that, the more the flavors are going to meld, and you're actually going to come out with a dish that is very, very New Mexican in all its dimensions. Green chili, red chili, pozole, the meat. And I did, like I said, it's unusual that I use pork rather than beef, but I decided for you guys I should probably use pork to give you a real sense of, not that you're ever going to taste it.
You had some last night. You liked it, right?
I did, yeah. I actually took a little bit of the pork after I braised it, because I'll braise the pork, as you'll see in just a minute. I braised it, and I took some of it and I rolled it up into tortilla and made myself a little chicharrone burrito. So it was damn good.
All right.
Very
so
flavorful.
we're gonna
And then the other
try
thing is, when you go out and buy everything, make sure you come back with you include a bag of the small tortillas, and that way people can use that to scoop up their pozole, butter them. The tortillas are very convenient little devices. All right, so I'm going to have Kevin show you the video that Shelley and I made last night to get us to this point. And I'm going to turn off our microphones so we don't make any background noise. Okay? Go ahead,
All
Kevin.
right, so here's the meat.
Hey everybody, this is Toby Eunice with the Gypsy's Kiss. This is kind of a prep video for our Posole for Foodie Friday. And the reason is I wanted to show you some of the ingredients. I'm going to turn this into a video that I'll play before we start the recipe on Friday. In addition to that, the meat requires a little bit of preparation, I've discovered. And so I wanted to give you a chance at seeing that so that we can get everything done on Friday. So let's start with the ingredients. The first ingredient, of course, is Posole, or the English word for it is hominy. You buy it in this large can. I usually look for the yellow hominy because I think it has a little bit better flavor. but they were out of it at my Albertson shore. I usually drain this through a colander, so I open it up, pour it all into a colander, let the juice that's with the hominy drain out, and then I rinse it. And the reason is I've always felt like what it's packed in takes away a little bit of the flavor. It's very flat and it seems to compete with other flavors. So I do take this, open it, pour it into a colander, and then rinse it with cold water before I put it into the crock pot, or in this case, the InstantPot. So that's the first thing. The second big thing is meat. Now, this particular, I decided I'd do it the more traditional version for this particular program. I usually use beef because I like beef better than pork. But when you get pork, I will either get a pork butt or a pork shoulder. This is what they happen to have. This was 3.5 pounds, which is way too much for this recipe, and it was $6.32 for pork.
Yeah.
This computer doesn't handle it.
No, I'm going to have to buy another one. Although it's an iCore 7, it just doesn't have a lot of memory. That's part of the problem. No sound now. Crap. So for years, we all used my aunt's recipe, which was very specific about which of the additional spices were required in order to make that pozole. Not only their names, but their what do they call them? The amounts. Yeah, if there's a word for that, their volume, you know. And then when I moved here, I went into the Albertson store and there was a rack of these desert garden products, and I used to get them if I wanted to make, they have seasoning for avocado dip and green chili dip and things like that. And one time I noticed they have a pozole seasoning. And so I picked it up, and I never had more compliments on my pozole after I never had, how do I say this? I've had more compliments on my pozole since I started using this than before when I just made it with a traditional recipe. We do, it does sell on Amazon, and we have put it into our Amazon store, and the link to that is in the description box below. So you can buy it on Amazon if you can't find it in your local store. Look for the Desert Gardens rack on one of the end caps, usually in the dry spices area. And you'll look for the pozole seasoning. That's all you need. And the only time you add it is as you're filling your either crock pot or your InstantPot. You don't do any other seasonings except some garlic, which I didn't pull out of here. Could you pull my garlic cloves out of the fridge, please? Shelley's behind the camera. No, in the plastic container. There we go. So I'm a big fan of garlic, so I always buy it in the larger container. I usually put 5 or 6 cloves, and I don't chop them up. What I do is I just smash them under my knife blade. So you'll need that 5 or 6 cloves of garlic. That's the other seasoning that you'll add to this recipe, okay? All right, so we got seasoning. I take this is 13 ounces, I call it a pint, of green chili. And when I buy it, it's out of the frozen section. I don't try to unfreeze it because when I add it to the InstantPot, it's going to unfreeze right away, and it's got some very nice flavors to it. This particular one is mild, and that's because I'm a big wuss when it comes to heat in my food. So I make it mild so I get enough of the flavor and I don't have to struggle with, as I can't taste it because there's too much fire, all right? And then I always have, and this is a packet I just run out actually, this is a packet of New Mexico red chili that has been dried. Now when you go to buy this, in the same way that you can buy mild, medium, and hot of the green chili, or chopped green chili, or the green chili sauce, you can also buy this in the various levels of flavor. My personal favorite is what they call, it's mild on this side, but here they call it dulce. And dulce means sweet. And I put 2, maybe 3 pods into the recipe, and I just let them sit there. They get a little bit soft, but they add an additional layer of flavor that's very different from the green chili to the recipe. So, and if you're going to serve it in a bowl and put it on the table, for example, you can take the red chili pods out, okay? And then to replace the hominy juice, the hominy, the what? Liquid, the hominy liquid. Thank you. Shelley's behind the camera, if you can't tell, helping me with my old man memory here. So I always use beef stock. The original beef stock, it's got a little bit of salt in it. It's okay, but it adds, again, another layer of flavor to the dish, and it eliminates you having to use that liquid that comes in the can, the hominy can, because you've rinsed that all off. Usually takes 2 to fill everything, okay? And again, if all you want to use is water, or you want to use the liquid in the hominy, that's perfectly all right as well. I just know from experience this gives me the flavor that I'm looking for. And then lastly, I always pick up a pack of small tortillas, because if you're going to serve some pozole, you might as well serve some tortillas to go along with it. Little cucharas, they call them tortilla cucharas. They're little spoons that you make with the round part of the tortilla. Those you tear the tortilla, and you can pick up your pozole. That was how we used to eat it. Okay, so those are all the ingredients. I'll make a list and put them in the description box below. And also, by the time you've seen this, I took my aunt's traditional recipe and I've posted it on the A Gypsy's Kiss blog. So if you just want to go with a more traditional recipe, you can go there. That has the, you know, she starts with the package of hard pozole. So if you want to go that far, it really is the traditional. This is a Dutch oven. It's cast iron, but it's enameled, and it's always great for doing a saute or a searing. Let me see, is that the right one on the rear? Right there, the front, okay. And I start with it about medium high, and I'm just gonna eyeball this. I'm gonna look for the best cuts, and let me open it. So we can open it on this side. Am I still in the shot? Mm-hmm. So there's a bone in the butt. You can leave that in there. It doesn't saute well, but if you want to use it for seasoning, usually on January 1st, on New Year's Day, I'll make beans and ham and beans, and I'll add that to there, so I'll save it. I don't put this into the pozole. I'm going to put this aside for just now. But again, they do such a nice job. They cube it better than I can ever expect. Oh, you know what I need to do? And I didn't. Ugh. Well, let me do this first, then I'll take it off. And all we're doing, like I said, this was about 3 pounds, 3.5 pounds. That one bone that I took out is probably a ½ pound. So I'm going to use 3 pounds of meat, and I leave the fat on and everything, because the fat is where all the flavor is. Now, you shouldn't be eating this, of course, every day, but you're doing it once a year at Christmas or New Year's, it's perfectly reasonable. And the fat is flavor. There's a big thing going on TikTok right now where a person on TikTok was showing a recipe made with hamburger, and she started by sauteing the hamburger, and I'm going to have to step out of the shot here for just a second, but you'll hear me. She started by sauteing the hamburger, and then when it was fully sauteed, she drained the fat, poured the hamburger into a colander, and washed it out, which is going to make for the least flavorful hamburger dish you will ever have in your life. So use the fat, enjoy it. You can make up for it later in the year as you get back on your diet after the holidays. Okay, so I'm going to give this a little bit of olive oil so it'll saute quickly. It's a new bottle, so I'm going to have to open it. And this is something that I keep on next to the stove. It's just extra virgin olive oil. Say a couple of tablespoons. But again, no need to season this, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to let it saute in this pot. No need to cover it. You're just going to put as much heat to it as you can. It'll take probably 20 minutes to a half hour to make sure everything is sauteed. Let it stir up some of that oil. And then, once it's sauteed, you've got two choices. You can add some of your beef stock to it to cover it and leave it on here for 2.5, maybe 3 hours at low heat. And effectively that gives you that tenderizes the meat because it starts breaking down the connective material, connective tissue. So what would I do without you? Dang. So, but let it sear first so it sears on all the sides. And then if you want, you can add some of the beef stock and then let it braise at a low heat for 2.5 to 3 hours. That'll soften it up. And then as an option, what you can do is you can put it in your slow cooker or your InstantPot and let it let it tenderize in there for 30 to 40 minutes is usually all that you need once you sear it like this. So I'm just going to let this sear, and then by the time you see it again, we're going to be pouring the seared and tenderized version of this into the InstantPot before we close it up and make the posole. Okay? All right. So I think that's all I can do for now. You got your ingredients. I will add, as I said, a list of the ingredients in the description box below. But for now, that's all. You'll see this video before we start the recipe on Friday. Okay? Thanks for joining us. So I wanted to take just a couple of minutes that I'll add to the end of the last video to show you what happened. So I have got this reduced so that most of the liquid is now gone away. It's got a little bit of oil on the bottom, and that oil is coming from the fat in the pork. But I'll show you the color, and I can assure you that right now it's very, very tender. So I'll leave this in the cast iron pot, put it outside, so I don't put it in the refrigerator. It'll be fine outside overnight. And then we'll add that to the Posole recipe tomorrow. But you can see that close to 3 pounds worth of meat has now been reduced to just a very small, what looks like a very small amount. But I like it when you get a lot of meat in your bowl. You know, when you're serving yourself Posole and every scoop has, you know, some meat in it. But that's what it looks like just before you put it in the pot, all right? So the last step in all of this will be combining all these ingredients in the pot and then putting them in the InstantPot 20 minutes max in that, because it's basically pressure cooking. That'll smooth all the flavors out, kind of round them out, but we'll do that tomorrow so that you can see it. I still haven't figured out if we're going to show you the end product, but we'll figure that out later, all right? And cut. Talk to me.
Okay. Hello. Can you hear me? Can you hear me now?
See, it should be coming from that iPhone over there.
No sound.
Well, they're behind 30 seconds, so.
Yeah. Okay.
All right.
Is that working now?
It's working.
Okay.
It'll take a little while before they get to it. So take it from the top.
So that was the meat that you saw us put in the pot first. It got cooked yesterday. It was in the refrigerator overnight, or actually
Outside.
he put it outside and It was 30 degrees outside, so kept it cold all night. And somebody had a question about this.
So the dried red chili usually comes in a bag like that. You know, again, in New Mexico, you can find these in grocery stores, but because there tends to be Hispanics, Latinos in almost every community, most larger stores will stock some of the foods that are, you know, I can find, for example, I can find corn husks, dried corn husks to make tamales. So just look for them in their stores. If not, let me know and I'll add them to our Amazon store. You can find this. We did add this to our Amazon store. A package at the Albertsons, the nearby Albertsons, costs $4. The Amazon store sells a packet of 4. So they're 15. You know, when I first saw it, I thought, why are they charging $15? They actually send you 4 of these packages. So you're saving $1 on it, and eventually you'll use them all. Now, you can also use those seasonings on almost any other dish. So for example, if you're making green chili enchiladas, you can sprinkle this on top and that's all the seasoning you need. Or add it to, if it's green chili chicken enchiladas, add it to the chicken when you cook it and you'll have a very nice flavor. It's not too hot, it's just enough to give you a sense you're having some heat in it. You'll get the flavor from the green chili, the flavor from the red chili, the flavor from the Posole. There was another question about how it was pronounced. It's pronounced Posole. In Spanish, you'll hear it referred to as Posole if it was someone who doesn't speak with a Spanish accent, so it's not a big deal. But either way, it's still this hominy-based soup with meat added. There was, someone asked, because we messed up on the video, we didn't have the audio on the video right, the meat that I purchased, go to the store and buy either a pork roast or a beef roast because they're going to be cheaper. You can buy, and when it comes to pork, you can buy a pork butt or a pork shoulder. Either of them will work. You can actually buy them already cubed for stewing. They call it stewing cut. It's already cut for you, but they charge you an extra $1 per pound just for cutting it up. But in almost every major grocery store that I've been in has a butcher shop associated with it. You can pick up that roast, you can take it back to the butcher shop, ask them to cut it into 1-inch cubes, and they do that, and there's no additional charge. They put the same price sticker on it. That particular pork butt was 3.5 pounds, and it was $6.48. So a little less than $2 a pound, and it cost me nothing extra. It took about 15 minutes to have the butcher cut it up into 1-inch cubes, and they give you everything. And I don't know if you saw enough of the video. I got one of the bones back, one of the interior bones from the pork shoulder, I think it was. And you can save that for another soup or something. I don't usually save them unless I'm making a ham bone soup. I like having a ham at Christmas and then making ham and beans soup after the holidays.
Christy wants you to show how to do that because she says she's having ham for Christmas too. So she wants to know how you make your ham and bean soup.
Okay, so we can do that actually. So with the ham and bean soup, literally it's just saving all the bones from the ham, all the small pieces, whatever comes off the end of the ham at the end of the day, and put it in the Instant Pot. But we'll make that recipe, we'll add that recipe later. Okay? So what I will do, since the other thing that I noticed about that video that we were showing is I had not resized it for the screen. So you were seeing about a quarter of it until about halfway through when I realized I hadn't resized it. So I know it's going to sound funny on AGK's YouTube channel, but I will add that video separately, the one where I'm just prepping the meat and showing all the seasonings and all the additional ingredients. Okay. Any other questions?
Steam coming up. I can hear it.
Yeah, it still hasn't gotten to the point where it's ready to open.
Well, we noticed our wine in the background. That's our wine we brought over for Christmas dinner for next week. We get started on just bringing things over. So it will be here, and we're ready to eat. And we'll get a nice Malbec, Argentinian Malbec.
It's a Domingo Gascon 2018, an Argentinian Malbec, which I tend to favor because I am not making a ham this Christmas. I will make a ham for New Year's, but I decided to go with the prime rib roast. And as a matter of fact, when I was in the store yesterday, I ordered the prime rib roast from the butcher. And the nice thing about, or I like my prime rib roasts bone in because there's some flavor that comes out of the bones when you do that. But one of the nice things when you have a prime rib roast, one of the hard things about prime rib roast is getting it cut correctly after you cook it. So what you can do is you can have the butcher cut the meat away from the bone in its entirety, and then they'll slice it for you. So I said I wanted 4 1-inch thick slices. So they slice it between the bones so they're about 1 inch thick, and then they tie it up in strings so it's a nice little package. And I ordered that, so it's going to be delivered on the 23rd. I'll season it, keep it in the fridge overnight, and then I'll cook it on the 25th in the same roaster that I make my turkey in. Is it fogging it up yet? So it's just started to steam, and it just shows 14 minutes now out of a 15-minute simmer. So the steamer closed off, so we have another 15 minutes. I don't think I'm going to keep you guys 15 minutes to watch this. So
we'll take a picture after it's all done and just post that on Facebook
on
and
the
then
Facebook
on blog
and
YouTube.
community page
Yeah.
when it's done. So thanks for joining us tonight. We hope you found this fun.
This should make probably how many meals? Or how many bowls of soup would you say?
I would say
6 quarts, so it's 1.5 gallons.
Yeah. So we served it. We took it to one of the.
Well, we often eat it with tamales, so that's going to fill you up with a small bowl of pozole and a tamale. Will fill you up. So probably going to give you
It's a filling meal.
15, 20.
It'll give you
15
15 to 20 bowls. Yeah. Medium
That'll
size.
last you a long time.
Kitchen bowls.
Yeah.
So it'll give you 15 to 20
So
bowls
if you have a
of this
huge,
size.
group coming in, when it's cold out and you want to have some hot soup, this is very filling. Everybody can have a bowl of soup and tamale and that's a good dinner.
And then when I serve it, I add some accoutrement like chopped onions, cheese,
Cilantro.
parsley. Not cilantro.
Some people like cilantro.
Some people, if you like cilantro, you can just put it in a separate bowl away from it by the end of the table. For God's sakes. But you do have some options. So you have all these, and then I add a container of the red chili
People
sauce.
use sour cream.
Yeah, some sour cream. You can put a dollop of sour cream, and then some parsley on top of that.
Red sauce, yeah.
Red salsa is a good one, but the tradition around our house, as I grew up, was there would always be an additional container, a bowl of red chili sauce, and you make that. I can make red chili from this. What I'll do with this is I will take out the stems and a lot of the seeds, and I'll boil it in chicken stock until it's soft. Then I'll put it into the blender, add some seasoning, garlic powder, onion powder, salt, pepper, anything else, maybe a little bit of paprika. Put that in the blender and liquefy it, basically, and that's how you make your red chili sauce. So that's what I'll do with the extras, because you don't, whatever you buy, it always comes in these big bags. There's probably another 20 or 30.
Okay, Larry wants to know if you have a recipe for menudo.
I do in my, you know what, Larry, send me an email and I'll give you the recipe that's in my my Aunt Lucy's cookbook. She has literally, if there's any new Mexican recipe that you guys want, let me know. We should probably put the book, I should tell Sean to give us the book so we can put it on our Amazon store.
Yeah.
Because those are the classic new Mexican recipes, except the peanut butter fudge. Don't do it. It never comes out. I don't know more. It may be me for all I know.
Maybe.
Okay,
Okay.
so pork butt, pork shoulder, have the butcher cube it up, and don't make sure you include the fat. The fat will render out as you cook it, but it adds flavor, right? It's where you get all that flavor. Don't be rinsing your pork after you make it. Do rinse your pozole because there's lime they use lime in there somehow, and that's what I always smell, and I can always taste it when it's in my posole, so don't do that. So, what else? Anything
That's all
else?
I see.
Are we going to try to do bread on Christmas?
I don't know.
You know what I'd like to do if we're going to do that?
What?
Shoot it like we did this, where we do day 1, day 2,
You gotta practice though.
day 3. Yeah, well, I've got to get this. I really do need a new laptop. I know it sounds terrible. I don't need any more technology in my life, but this one, I've got to get something a little bit with more performance and more.
But anyway, we could
more
do that.
Horsepower.
Who wants
that's a
who
pretty-
wants bread for Christmas?
Yeah, if you guys want us to do bread, homemade bread,
You want to show Kevin's?
oh yeah, get that. Kevin made some whole wheat bread, and he also made some pecan bread, sweet pecan.
This is the pecan bread. It's a little bit messy when you cut it. It's supposed to be like a cinnamon roll, kind of.
So this is my homemade bread. And no kneading. You basically leave it overnight to proof the first time, and then you proof it in the pan for about an hour before you put it in the oven for 40 minutes. And it comes out with a beautiful crust, a beautiful smooth crumb, and it's very, very tasty. I add a little bit of honey, about a tablespoon of honey, and a tablespoon of that olive oil to it, and you can pick up on that when you eat it. But it's a great sandwich bread. So if you think it'd be a good idea to do bread on New Year's, like I said, we're going to have to do it in the same way because there's
Christmas.
on Christmas. I'm sorry. We have to record making the first the dough. Then after you proof it, you have to put it in, proof it again before you put it in the oven. So it's actually a multi-step process that occurs on separate days. Now there is a turbo bread that you proof, that you add a little bit more yeast and you proof in the oven. And I've tried it. I don't like it as much. It doesn't have to have the same. This is called the smoothness of this is called crumb. When I do the turbo bread, it's got a lot of big holes in it. So I'd rather have this because it has a very fine crumb to it. I'm very happy with it, and a great crust. The crust is amazing when it comes right out of the oven.
Maybe we'll also show you the spinach salad. So since somebody's requesting some healthy dishes,
Healthy, huh?
so we could do the spinach salad and the bread.
So you've already seen. So we made our list.
Yeah, we made a list of what we're having for dinner.
So Christmas dinner is prime rib road.
Rib
We're
road.
going to be eating some asphalt. Prime rib roast, smashed potatoes. I should show you my smashed potatoes. It's not mashed potato, it's smashed potatoes. Recipe. We're going to go back to the cornbread pudding like we did for Thanksgiving. Cranberry compote, because that's now apparently Shelley's favorite. I'm going to make some bread, but I think I'm going to make dinner rolls. So you might even get to see that. You might even get to see us make dinner rolls rather than a loaf of bread. Shelley's doing the spinach salad. Kevin is responsible for dessert. He likes to surprise us. And Shelley and Kevin are responsible for the wine, and that's already taken care of. So we'll do some cooking, we'll do some shooting. Hopefully, I'll see if I can rush order a new computer from Amazon, see if I can get this.
Merry
But
Christmas.
It's good. It's good there. You know what? It's not, I don't think it's the camera, it's the audio. We haven't quite figured out the audio. And that's because both cameras that we're using are iPhones. So we have to combine that with our wireless audio microphones. So maybe if we can figure that out, it'll make it a little bit better. And I'll make the videos lower. I pumped them up to 5 kbs. I probably shouldn't. 5,000 kbs. I probably shouldn't have done that. I should have probably left them at around 35.
Uh-huh.
Okay. Any other questions for the room?
Nope, that's all I see. Bread for the next show, and yeah, we'll probably we'll see what we can do for those cookbooks, and also make a spinach salad on Christmas.
Yeah.
I haven't done it in a long time, so it'll be new again for me.
Who was the one that asked for the menudo recipe?
Larry. Okay, Larry.
Larry, you just send an email to gypsieskiss@gmail.com, and I will scan the page in for you from her book with menudo on it. I'll send you that, okay? So you'll have the entire recipe. All right.
All right.
Because I'm always looking for shortcuts.
So yeah, we will, again, we'll take a picture after it's all done cooking and we'll put that up on our blog and you can check out what it looks like.
Yep.
And that's all we have.
That it?
That's it.
All right. Say goodnight.
That's all we have for today. Thanks for joining us, and we hope that we've answered all of your questions about how to cook Toby's famous Posole,
World famous.
world famous
Okay.
Posole, for your holiday meals. And again, this is going to last a couple of weeks at this point.
Mhm.
You can take half of it and just freeze it right away, and work on the rest of it.
Yeah.
All right.
I like your very Christmassy outfit, the green and the red. And
Yeah.
what does your shirt say?
It says, "Define naughty."
All right, guys. Thanks for
Grinch.
joining us tonight. Hope you had fun. And have a great weekend. We will see you on Monday with Monday Mysteries. And we're going to keep that a mystery for you. So you're going to have to watch.
Mystery.
All right. Let's go outro, Kip.